Lorna. Welcome back to my channel, Bloom Your Math, and A is your grade. Today we will look at matrices, so let's get started. What is a matrix? It's important for you to know the definition of terms before you even start working the question. A matrix is a rectangular array or arrangement of numbers or terms which are placed in a bracket. So once you hear the word matrix, you must think brackets. Formation of a matrix. Let us look how a matrix is formed, and I'm going to give you a practical example. Let us see if we can look at the grades for Daniel for the first, second, and the third school terms. In the first term, for maths, Daniel got 34%. Poor Daniel. In the second term, she did fairly well, 78, 2 less than an A, if you call 80 an A, and 48 she failed in the third term. Now let's look at her physics grades. She got 90 in the first term, 48 in the second term, and 92, whoops, a whopping 2 A's in 2 terms. Now if we remove the brackets, we have actually taken the information, we have extracted the information and put them in brackets. So these are still the grades 34, 78, 48, and the bottom row 90, 48, 92, and they're all enclosed in a bracket. So this information is now said to be in the form of a matrix. As simple as that. The terms in the brackets are considered to be in rows and in columns. Now you may be asking, rows, columns, what are they? Let's talk a little bit about these two terms, rows and columns. What are they? Aha! Rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. And when you hear, an example of horizontal would be like, a pen lying on a table, or you could say west, east. That will help you to remember what horizontal looks like. And for columns, vertical, like north, south. So again, rows are horizontal, because if you miss it, you would have missed everything in matrices. Columns are vertical. Alright, so now we have a matrix here, 5, 2, 6, 3, 4, and 5. And I want to identify the rows and the columns. Let's look at my example. What are the numbers you think are in the row 1? If you say 5, 2, and 6, you are correct. Give yourself a clap. Because these rows, these numbers are written horizontally. They're in a horizontal fashion. Whereas these are columns, vertical. So how many rows? two rows, row 1, first red line, first red arrow is row 1, second red arrow is row 2. Let's look at columns now. We said earlier on that columns are vertical. So, column 1, this is column 1, this is column 2. So, what are the elements in column 1? 5 and 3. What do you think are the elements in column 2? I'm listening. I think I heard somebody say 2, 4. Yeah, awesome. And the last one is, the last column is column 3. And the elements are 6 and 5. So if I ask you, what is the second element in the first row? What do you think the answer is? The second element in the first row. I'll give you a minute to think, or less than a minute. That's not too difficult. Aha. 2. So the matrix above has 2 rows and 3 columns. And how do we state this? There is a way to write this matrix showing its size. We call it the order or the size. 2 rows and 3 columns. Notice what I did. I wrote the number for rows first and column next. You know, like Roman Catholic, there is an order in which we write the size of a matrix. So if you remember Roman Catholic, you won't write the 3 before you write the 2. Okay? Moving on. The size of the matrix is defined by the number of rows and columns that it has. And again, as we said earlier, it is written rows by columns. The above matrix is a 2 by 3 matrix. It has 2 rows and 3 columns. Remember to state the number of rows first. You notice how many times I am saying this? Because if you lose this, then wow, you're going to be in big trouble. You've got to state the number of rows. That's the secret in getting the matrix answers correct. Okay, moving on. Alright. Now, we have another matrix. 5, 2, 9, 6. Notice there are enclosing brackets, that's why it's called a matrix. Without it, it's not a matrix. Alright, so here we go. So that's what they'll give you. And they'll ask you, what is the size of that matrix? Again, I gave a hint. Rows go horizontally. Columns go vertically. So I've already done rows for you. How many rows do we have? 1, 2, 3 rows. Let's draw the line through these numbers to show the columns. There we go. I'm going all the way down to C1 because C is abbreviation for column in this case. Alright? So this 9 should actually fall there, but it's a little out of alignment, but you won't kill me for that. Alright? And then the other one is 2, 6, 3. Again, let me just put the 6 where it belongs so it goes into that line. And put the 3 where it belongs. You get what I mean? So we have now column 1, column 2. How do we write the size of this matrix? 3 by 2. Awesome. Give yourself a clap if you got the answer long before I said it. Let's move on. Roman Catholic. Rows, then columns. Okay, moving on. Now we have 5, 4, 6 in a matrix. What's the size of that matrix? Remember, when we talk about the size, we must talk about rows times columns. I'm ready to draw now. I'm using a black marker to draw my row. Well, this marker is giving way. Alright, it's starting up again. Praise God. So that's row 1. And let's move on to use a blue marker and show you how many columns we have. Column 1, column 2, column 3. Is that what you see there? Yes, except that what is missing are my arrows to show that that is column 1 through 5, column 2, column 3, and they're all vertical lines. What's the size of this matrix? If you start with the rows first, then there's only 1 row and 3 columns. 1 row and 3 columns. That's why we write it. So we don't say 1 multiplied by 3. We say 1 by 3. Next example. What's the size of this matrix? The answer is given here already. But next time I'll try and hide the answers for those who are cheating. Alright, so we go now. Row 1. Row 2. That's how they got the 2. And only 1 vertical line can pass through these numbers. Column 1. Alright. So we have 2 by 1. Next one. What about this single number in the bracket? Just one single number inside of the bracket. It's simply 1 by 1. One term or number can make up a row or column. Now I'm going to do a quick, I'm going through this very quickly, and if you miss it, then you can always pause the video to go back to this. Square matrix. If the number of rows is equal to the number of columns, we have a square matrix. 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5. So the number of rows equal the number of columns. What is a row matrix? A row matrix is a matrix with 1 row. 1 row. That's a row matrix. Row 1. Moving on. What is a column matrix? I should have asked you that before. Let me go back. What is a column matrix? A column matrix, if a row matrix has 1 row, then what do you think a column matrix is? Correct. A column matrix has 1 column. Okay, great. Next, you're asked to add the following. What size matrix is this one? The first matrix is a 2 by 2. And I'm sure you see that it's pretty easy. Row 1, row 2. And I'm going to just use the arrows instead because the circles take up a lot of time. So we're going to use the red again for rows. So row 1, row 2. And we're going to use a blue marker for the color. So that's a 2 by 2 matrix. What is the size of this one? Row 1, row 2, column 1. And we have column 1, column 2 here. So this is 2 rows and 2 columns. And this is 2 rows and 1 column. Alright, what can you say about the size of both matrices? They're not the same. Right, they're not the same. Obviously. So, add them and tell me what you get. 2 added to 5. 3 added to 1. Ha. No, no, no. Can't work. Addition of matrices is only possible if they are of the same order or the same size. That is, for 2 matrices to be added, they must have the same number of rows and the same number of columns. Okay, moving on. Let's take an example. If A is equal to 6, the rows are 6. The elements in the rows are 6 and 1. And the second row is 5, 2 for A. And B, the elements in the row are 2 and 4, and in the column, 1 and 8. And we're asked to add A plus B. Now, look at it. They are both of the same size. This is a 2 by 2, this is a 2 by 2. So we simply add the elements that are in the same position, or add corresponding elements. So, this 6 is in the same position as this 2, so we add them together. That's how we get the first value there. We add 6 plus 2. This one is in the same position as this 4, so we add 1 plus 4. This 5, and I'll use a rectangle this time as a shape, is in the same position as that rectangle. So 5 is added to 1. And obviously, you guessed the last one. You know the last one. That's pretty easy. 2 and 8 are added together. So, add elements that are in the same position or corresponding elements. 6 plus 2 is 8, 1 plus 4 is 5, 5 plus 1 is 6, 2 plus 8 is 10. That's the answer. Moving on. The way we treat addition is the same way we treat subtraction of matrices. So, subtraction of 2 matrices is defined only if they are in the same order or same size. Again, this is a 2 by 2, this is a 2 by 2 matrix. So, 4 is this 4. Then don't forget the minus sign between the brackets and negative 1. Now, if you have a problem with directed numbers or working with directed numbers, then stay tuned. I will be doing a video on that as well. But for those of you who remember what happens when you combine 2 minus signs, this is 4 minus negative 1. We will get a 4 plus 1, which is equal to 5. So that one is correct. Let's take 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5. Now, if you know 5 minus 3, you will know 3 minus 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. So, 3 minus 5 is simply negative 2. So, if you know that 10 minus 8 is 2, then 8 minus 10 is negative 2. Again, stay tuned for videos on directing numbers if you are having difficulty working with it. Next one, 2 minus negative 3. 2, this 2, and this negative 3 are in the same position. So 2 minus negative 2 minus negative 3 will give me 5. And negative 1 minus negative 5. Negative 1 minus negative 5. Again, this will give me a plus. And if you have $5 and you owe me $1, then you are left with $4 in your pocket. Isn't that so? You better get that right, because you really don't want anybody to rob you. So that's it for now, guys. I post 2 videos every week. If you like this video, then like, share, and subscribe. You may ring the notification bell to know when I upload new videos. So, I'll see you next time. Bye.